Ever feel like falling asleep on your turtle or other slow tanks in random battles? Well, now's the time to shine again. Gravity Force mode is coming back, guys. Welcome guys, I'm Nino. Let me just quickly talk you through the main characteristics and mechanics of Gravity Force mode, and then I will tell you my favorite tank choices for this special game mode. As it's not the first time of Gravity Force being in the game, you probably know already this game mode is about, as the name might suggest, just less gravity for your tanks. Meaning that you can just fly around when jumping over some hills and whatnot, and you can have lots of fun on different kind of gameplay. As you're having less gravity, other physics were also introduced, like a recoil to your tank, which is depending on the caliber that your gun has, so big guns will just throw you back a lot further. And this is also not only working for the tanks you're shooting with, but also when you're getting shot, then you might just get flown through the air just by a big impact, and therefore some lighter tanks might really get smacked around there. Also very special to this game mode is the jumping ability called Thruster, which you can just quickly activate and jump into the air. Also depending on your weight, you might just jump higher, and this characteristic, this ability is only limited to light tanks, medium tanks and tank destroyers. As you might notice, mid-air it becomes incredibly hard to just put out reliable shots, so what you can try is to just navigate a little bit with your standard controls, just move forwards, and you will be able to just move your tank down a little bit, get into some more stabilized position, and then you can have a much higher chance of hitting the enemies. Before getting to the tanks, there are also two very unique space maps on this game mode only, namely the Sea of Tranquility, which is a moon-inspired map with a little moon base there, and also then there is the rather new Everfrost map, which is then having some ice crystal ramps to jump over, and also some remnants of space travelers. So moving on to the tanks. As you can already see here, the mediums that are having to shoot a lot are just suffering a little bit more because they are just having the fast reload, have to aim a lot, and you're just not able to aim in too much because you're constantly moving around a lot. So what I can really recommend here is playing some heavily armored tanks, and also those tanks that really have a high alpha gun. So big gun tanks are just the way to go on this game mode. So starting with tier 8, we can just go for the VK100 TAC 3 tank, or also the VK168. Also the Object 252U or the ISU might be some very valid options here to put out some big damage and trouble into the enemies. For tier 9 then, well, you could hear it on the intro, the T95 Turtle tank is a pretty decent choice here because it's just quite hard to penetrate for the enemies. That can jump upwards and it can also shoot down into the enemies with a high penetration, which is also a good advantage, having tanks and guns with a high penetration. Besides that, there's also the tier 9 Hori, which is just quite nicely armored, and also the Mäuschen, a German super heavy again. For tier 10 then, we've got the Maus, which is just superb at ramming away enemies and just allowing you to have some really good fun with that tank as you're flying around and having a much higher speed than in random battles. Also the E100 is just quite tricky to penetrate, does have a high alpha gun that can smack enemies away. Then there is also the E3, of course, 268 might also be considered, which can then jump up into the air. And probably my favorite tank would be the JAG E100, because it just has a really high alpha gun and can also just bounce a lot of shells. But of course you can also consider the 183 or the Sheridan, or even if you're having the Sheridan missile that can just fire rockets, although not with the highest accuracy, to be honest. And just remember guys, this is a fun mode, just experiment and play whatever you feel like. That's already it guys, consider leaving a sub and also just maybe see you on my streams on Twitch then. Goodbye.